Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this video, we will discuss the influence of Renaissance and changes in English language during this period of Renaissance. Renaissance period was started in English. In England. It started in 1500 to 1650, about 50 years, about, you can say, from 50 to 70 years period was in full swing of Renaissance in England. And Shakespeare is also a product of Renaissance. He also wrote all his plays and poetry during the Renaissance in the early 17th century. So in this video we will discuss the changes in English language regarding spelling, pronunciation, grammar, new words, sequence of the sentences, that how it all influenced the English language. First of all, let us define Renaissance. Renaissance means rebirth, rebirth of literature, rebirth of writing, rebirth of ideas, rebirth of ideology, rebirth of art. Specifically, Renaissance was related to art, what we call it fine arts, painting and drawing and literature and others. It started from Italy, and how it started, it we have to move back to Greek philosophers Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, and others. These were actually the Arab scholars. If you remember the names of the Muslim scientists, Ibn al-Hassam, al-Biruni, Ibn Khaldun, sociologist, they were all from Arabic origin. Nowadays, we hardly find any person from Arabic origin who has influence in uh, any piece of science or any piece of literature, any field of science or any field of literature. They are not having that much influence. But in the beginning, like 8th century, 9th, 10th century, 11th century, they were having a lot of influence in knowledge. So knowledge was, after Greek, knowledge was attributed to Muslims. The Muslim scholars, what they did, they actually preserved the knowledge of the Greek scholars, the art and philosophy given by the Greek scholars. And who were the Greek scholars? Ancient Greek scholars, Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle, the famous one. So, with the passage of time, it was actually the trade process. The Arabs, they were engaged in trade with Italy. So, Italy and Arab countries, they were engaged in trade with each other. So, during this trade, they had to communicate with each other, and they transferred their knowledge, whatever they had. In this way, Renaissance, from Greek it reached to Arabic, and from Arabic scholars it reached to Italy. And in Italy, in the famous city Venice, a play written by Shakespeare, Merchant of Venice, a city in Italy that is actually constructed on water, not on ground. So a very famous city, and the other cities of Italy also. So Renaissance actually started in Europe from Italy. It flourished. It's in painting, in art, in literature, but the main focus of the Italian scholars was to modify and to rephrase the thinking and ideologies of ancient Greek writers like Plato and Aristotle. So they tried to write their literature as it was written by Aristotle and Plato, and there were few of the changes first time introduced. Before that, there were no changes. So, two things were having quite high place in society. One, the religious references, and second, the Greek scholars references. So, first time there were few changes. It was believed that whatever is happening, it happens by the religion, whatever is going on. So when we live in this life, we live in this life to just to please the divine power, and to make our life after that death a beautiful one. But first time in Renaissance, this concept was somehow changed. The scholars of Renaissance, they believed that this earth where we live, it must also be considered for discussion. So it was first time that science, art, literature, human philosophy, that was much more appreciated as compared to medieval ages and dark ages and early modern and early ages, old ages. So this was first time it happened. The names of the cities are all given here. So with the passage of time, the Arab scholars they transferred their knowledge to the Greek scholars. And origin of Renaissance, that I have already told you, it's rebirth, and means enthusiasm, new passion, new enthusiasm. So it was actually the rejection of, as I already told you, rejection of religious ideas, as it was believed that whatever is happening, it is happening by the will of God. Yes, it is true, in Islam we believe everything happens with the will of God, but at the same time, Allah also commands us to work hard. Unless and until we work hard, or we try to work hard in a specific direction, we cannot achieve our goals. So before that, it was believed that only it is religion that modifies our lives, and that is the ultimate truth in Europe at that time, during the Renaissance period. But before Renaissance, but during Renaissance, the concept was changed. So humans, they were first time they became the matter of discussion apart from religion and apart from spiritual powers, and somehow you can say the hallucination, or the using of charms or superstitions. So man came out of it, human, and they started discussing the human life. This was all about Renaissance. And from Italy, it started somewhere in 14th century, and at the end of 15th century, it reached to England, almost at the end of 16th century, you can say. It reached into England from 1500 to 1650. This period of 150 years, it is considered, it is taken as the time of Renaissance. So first of all, Renaissance flourished in Europe, in Italy, and from Italy it entered into Britain, England. And the most important thing in Renaissance was the books were available for the common people. Because the invention of a printing press by William Caxton, a person who introduced printing press in England. Due to the invention of printing press, the books, they were available for common people. Like one book is handwritten, and the rest of the copies were printed by the printing press, as we get our photocopies today, and the millions of books, they are published by the publishers. But before that, what used to happen, each and every book was written by the hand. If, for example, if a writer had written a book and he wanted to have 100 copies, he had to write those 100 copies with his own hands. So there was no photocopy before Renaissance. So it was actually Renaissance that made books available for common people. Before that, the books were costly, or books were read only by the elite and political and educated class, but the common people, they were completely they were far away from the books. So the invention of this printing press, it makes the book available for the people, and this was actually the growth of Renaissance, a growth of rebirth of passion and literature and fine arts. Because literature and books and everything, whatever the idea was given by a scientist or a literary man, it was delivered to each and everyone. Then in during the Renaissance period, there were in English language. This was all about the history of Renaissance. I have just given you a brief description that what happened, because it was a new thing. So historically, Europe came out from the medieval and old ages to, somehow you can say, the early modern, or the first step towards modern ages, that they negated the previous superstitious ideas, what they believed they were superstitious, and they started moving towards more development and more progress. So the set ideas, they were actually changed to new ones. So there were changes in spellings, changes in grammar, changes in vocabulary in English language. Because we are discussing its influence on English language, so let us discuss one by one that how Renaissance influenced the spellings. So before Renaissance, this word debt, debt means if I have taken some money from a person, so I have taken a debt from him. So before Renaissance, the spellings were DETTE debt, but after Renaissance, it became DEBT debt that nowadays we are using. Again, doubt, DOUBT doubt, we are using it today. Before Renaissance, it was DOUTE doubt. Indict means when a person is taken to a court, like if someone is alleged of a crime, and when the judge announced that he has failed to provide sufficient evidence, so the proper trial will be initiated against him. That is called indictment, or to indict a person. So INDITE indict was changed to INDICT indict. Then fault, the spellings FAUTE for fault, it was changed to FAULT fault. So these were this kind of changes in spelling. A few of the examples I have given here. These changes in spelling in English language that occurred in Renaissance period. Then we have changes in grammar. In changes in grammar, the few of the words, some affixes and suffixes, they were added to the base words, like development of synonyms and use of classical derivations. From king it became kingly, and from nose it became nosy. Before Renaissance, the word kingly and nosy did not exist. But during Renaissance and after Renaissance, we use this word king also, and we use this word kingly also. So in this way, there were the adjectives were changed into the nouns were changed into adjectives, and verbs were changed into adverbs, and adverbs were changed into adjectives. So there were changes in the grammatical categories of the words. So these two examples I have given you. You can find other examples on internet also. Then let's talk about changes in pronunciation. First of all, we call this word like cake. So before Renaissance, this a sound, a, cake. So a sound, ei, that I have mentioned here in phonetics, we call it a sound. The a sound, it was used only as a sound. It was not cake, it was kak. So a sound was there before Renaissance, and during and after Renaissance, it was changed into a. For example, cake, ale, dame, fame. Then the long vowel E was represented by double E, IE, and EA. Feet, seek, deep, heat. Before that, this long vowel was not included in English language. So before Renaissance, this like when we say FEET, it is not fat or fit, it is feet. So E sound, a longer E sound was included into English language. So this was again a change in pronunciation. Then we have these words are given here: deep, heat, seat, cat, field, believe. Long I changed to I. Long E, like instead of saying LIFE, leaf. Long E means E sound, long E. And AI that I have written, it means I. Live, I, blind, ein, kite, eyed. So this long E sound was changed to I, a diphthong. Diphthong means when two vowels they are joined, the two vowel sounds they are joined together. They are called diphthongs. Long oo sound, this U is called actually oo. So instead of this oo sound was changed into ow. So instead of hoose, it became house and mouse. So ow sound was, so there were changes in pronunciation. From long e sound it changed to diphthong I, and from long oo sound it changed to ow, like house and mouse. So these are the examples of changes in pronunciation during Renaissance. Then we have addition of new words. It is believed that about 10,000 to 12,000 words were added to English language during Renaissance period. The examples are given here: aberration, illusion, democratic, enthusiasm, imaginary. So these are the words, sophisticated. So these are the words given here. These were the new words introduced into English language, and how these new words came. They came from Latin language. So Latin was the language that influenced English language more than any other language. Most of the words, they were borrowed and they were taken from Latin language into English. Now the problem is, why these words were taken from other languages. The answer is, as we have already discussed, that there was influence of religion, spirit, spiritual aim, charm, superstitions, and the Greek philosophers. So there were no new ideologies. When there were no new ideologies, there was no need of new words. When Renaissance came, it brought a new change in the society. So new ideas emerged. So to describe new ideas, the writers, the scholars, the scientists, the painters, they needed new words to describe them. That what have they introduced or what they want to say. Before that, before Renaissance, there was only a set pattern, specific sentences and specific words. But this was first time that the new words they had to be introduced into the language. Before that, it never happened. So the things, the new, as the new ideologies they came, the new words, they automatically entered into English language. Few of the words, they were modified, and many of the words, they were taken from Latin and from other languages that had influence on English language. So this was all about Renaissance, changes in English language during Renaissance from 1500 to 1650.